They say with great risk comes great reward, but like in history, the greatest stories of redemption just blow me away. Just how people who maybe were in the hood or lived very, very just had a messed up, traumatized, but everything that they went through, and then just something happened, a
Yeah.
catalyst, a seed got planted,
Something
and they
happened.
just built an empire. They saw it. Nobody else saw them. They call them crazy. They were criticized, doubted, but
Yeah.
you know, and if you know, I mean, once you start putting in the work, it's not if, it's when.
Yeah, they say it's only delusional until it happens.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I'm like, and I like it when people are like, "You're crazy." I'm like, "Good, good." I want you to look at me and be like, "That chick's crazy."
If
Like,
you
I
want
can't
to,
believe she
if you want
thinks that.
to call me crazy, and I said, well, I say, I used to tell, I had this little saying that I would tell people, in 10 years, hit me up and I'll buy you a Cadillac.
We got Rob Fox. Welcome to Nine Lives Deep. Guest of mine. He messaged me on Facebook the other day. Sounds like he's got a cool story. What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm chilling. Glad to be here. You know, this is the start. Been out a year, been planning for years, starting to enact some stuff. And, you know, I believe in divine intervention. So I don't think seeing that message was an accident.
I don't either. And you know, it just grabbed my attention.
That was the point.
I guess that was the point. Give me 1 second so I can put these headphones on a second. Um, my freaking dog got out, and my dog and my cat don't get along, and the motherfuckers went to attacking each other. So I had to go in like
Yeah,
full gangster mode.
they went crazy.
All right. Well, okay, man. So where you want to start?
Oh, so it's, what year was it? I was 30 and got arrested for robbing pharmacies with a note, no weapon. And I was in addiction, and so got locked up, had already been to prison before, but come full circle. This is where the seed got planted, so to say. So I'm in county, paid this lawyer big bucks to get me a better deal because I was facing 25 to life for the first time. And about a year and a half in, I finally meet him, and he comes in. He's got a cowboy hat and these boots, and he kicks his feet up on the table, and he's like, "Tell me about yourself." I'm like, "What do you mean?" Like,
Did
I'm
big
trying to
something.
talk about what's happening in court. He's like, "Well, just tell me about your first memory." I'm just going with it. So I tell him, okay, my first memory is I was at the bottom of a swimming pool and I was drowning, and my cousin jumped in to save me. So then I started there, and then I went to my stepdad was the voice of big techs. My brother went to the military just these few years when I was younger. And then I was going to church twice a week, confirmed in the church, straight A's the whole time. Just a little bit of shenanigans growing up, fifth, sixth grade. Then when I was 14, I'm hanging out with a couple of buddies, and we had the great idea to make counterfeit money. This was 1998 at the house, and we did that. And I spent the money, and a couple months later, Secret Service came into school and arrested me. And
Damn. What grade were you in?
I was in eighth grade.
8th grade. Fucking shit.
Yeah, so that
How
was,
much were you?
they kicked me out, and I went to alternative school. So now I went from, like, straight A's with this aptitude, and I done got this little I didn't really grow I mean, there was I didn't really grow I mean, there was groceries while in alternative school to, you know, then he gives me a QP, then he gives me a half pound, then and it ramped up, and then by the age of 15, I became from going to that alternative school, I met some I met my childhood friends, a whole new group of friends, not straight A students, hoodlums, drinking, smoking, crazy, just crazy stuff. So,
Hillbillies.
huh?
Hillbillies.
Yeah. So
Yo,
then
rebels.
huh?
Nothing. Keep going.
Oh, so then, I got told on for selling weed, and I got locked up, and they sent me to boot camp called Last Chance for 60 days. And it was like, at the time it was bad, but when I got out, I was like, 60 days for everything I was doing. I got out and I was like, let's go. My mother, God bless her heart, she was an alcoholic. And so she gambled. She wasn't home a lot. So I was unsupervised, and started throwing parties. And AOL came out,
Mm,
and
dial
at
up,
this
baby.
point in time, I was on the ankle monitor, and I was for curfew, and so I'd be home a lot of the time, and I'd get in these chat rooms. They had like 4 chat rooms, 50 people in each one at first. This is before social media, all that. And I started talking to people from other schools. So then I was already friends with people from other schools, but then meeting people in these chat rooms, it increased the amount of people I could bring to parties. It increased the amount of drugs that could be sold, and it just snowballed. And then at the age of 16, uh, the goon squad, like ski masks and everything, came into the house, and the party was already over, but they showed up. They had a warrant, and then they found drugs, got locked up, and then I got out like I think right at the beginning of senior year. And I don't know, I buckled down. I took night classes. I took all 7 periods. I took summer school, and out of it's still amazing. I think they just passed me to get me out of school. Like they just wanted me out of there. A few of my classes I passed with 70. So I graduated, and then my dad and my grandfather died within about 6 months of each other. So when I turned 18, I got this little chunk of money, and that's when I used that chunk of money to buy some drugs and X tabs and acid, and started doing that again. And that didn't really last that long. I blew all the money. I was pretty irresponsible with it. But then DeVry called, "Hey, you want to go to school?" Blah, blah, blah. I was like, "Well, I'm not doing anything anyways. I'm not doing anything anyways." And my buddies knew that I despised heroin. Like that, like I'll be around other stuff, but they knew I despised it. I was talk bad about it, and they're snorting some white powder, and I thought it was didn't think it was heroin, and so I tried it, and that's when I became addicted to heroin. So first it started, you know, a
You
little
probably
bit,
had
then
a you probably had an intuitive reason why you despised it. It's like in deep depths of you knew like this is about to take my soul for a little while.
I mean, it was like once I tried it, I was like, man, I've been missing out.
Well,
And
yeah,
huh?
at the beginning.
Yeah, at the beginning, and that was before. I mean, so that occurred at 19, then 20, full addiction. Got arrested for selling meth. I wasn't using it. I had buddies that sold it, and I sold. Got busted for selling meth. Got out. Uh, I got back on probation at the age of 20. You know, I messed up that probation. They sent me to Cornell out in Wilmer Hutchins, and I did my 6 months there and got out, and I was 21. So I was like, it's time to go. Now I can buy alcohol. So then
Yeah.
it started again, and I kept on. I say I had a good lawyer, but I think it was like, again, I think it was divine intervention, because everything that's happened to me at this point, I believe has happened for a reason, because I wouldn't be where I'm at mentally or anywhere. The amount of preparation that I put into what's going to transpire in my future, I just know what I'm going to do. I know what's going to happen. And so 22, overdose, 20, get locked up. So at the age of 24, I overdosed 5 times. It was on the 4th one that I flatlined. And going down the tunnel, I saw an apparition, and it said, "Turn around, I'm not done with you yet." And I woke up crying. They went and got my mother. She's freaking out like they thought I was gone. That night I got high again. So the few
Checks out.
months later, I finally messed up the probation all the way, and I'm really mentally ill individuals. I wasn't an, how do I say, aggressive person. I've never been an aggressive person, but
What do you mean by seriously mentally?
well, they would just like at the age of 16, one of my buddies got his eyes gouged out. And then like we would just go to parties
What did he
and
get his freaking eyes
over
gouged
off
out
of
for?
Bowser and no Glenville and Beltline behind Chuck E. Cheese.
Where the hell is that? Remind me.
Richardson.
Oh, Richardson.
There was
He got his
one of the
eyes gouged out.
they got his eyes gouged
What'd
out.
he do?
We were going we were going to a few of us were going to meet up with some more buddies that were going to meet up with some guys from the Pierce wrestling team, because one of them had messed around with my buddy's girlfriend and like grabbed on her. So like they didn't know, like these dudes are nuts. For
Yeah.
teenagers, they're nuts.
Yeah. That's what it was like growing up in Mesquite too.
But they took like a board and a bat and a chain, and there was 4 of them, and they went and tried to take on the whole wrestling team, and like,
Some straight outsider shit, just a rumble.
yeah, that's what happened. When we pulled up, but they were getting my buddy off the ground. Like, we didn't go onto the scene. Like, I wasn't up close, but I saw him, and his face was just all messed up, and they had pinned him to the ground, and the guy got on his back and stuck his fingers in his eyes.
Can he see?
His eyes were crooked for probably about like 4 or 5 years, and then he got the surgery to correct it, and it changed his whole life. He got
He was like, I ain't doing this shit no more.
it changed his whole. He went from the meathead, let me pound somebody, to he started going to college for years, and even though he couldn't see as good, he was intelligent. He used his aptitude and got a couple degrees.
That was his divine intervention.
That was his divine intervention. And
Where were we at?
So at the age of 25, I went to prison for my first time, got out, reservations. I'm not cutting nobody off. It was only a couple years.
Yeah.
So I got out at 27. It was a little bit over 2 years. I got out at 27.
Wait, what? So how long?
What's that?
You did 2 years. So
Over 2
25 to
years.
27?
And then I went through
27?
And then I got out and I started going to the bars and started getting high again. And pharmacy robbery was something that people that I knew of had been doing. They were on a more organized level, and they all went to the feds, and I think 1 or 2 of them have gotten out by now, but they got.
How did they do it? Are you allowed to tell me that?
They had walkie-talkies, and they had a whole system, and they had lookouts, and one of them, this is crazy.
It's like some dead president shit.
He would mark his cigarette with a marker. He timed it. So he'd put a cigarette in his lip. So he knew when it got to that mark, he had 90 seconds. And they would bust the front door open, and then they would bust the cage up, and they would go in, and they had built this, they had little, like a board with some other boards on it. And one of them would stand at the end of the thing, and they just break all the shelves.
And just fucking just take everything, like Santa Claus, like the bags.
Antibiotics and everything. Yeah. But I never did any of that with them. I just knew of it. They were a little older than me. So then I just got the idea when I got out. I was like, well, I'm getting high and I'm drunk, and this seems like a good idea. But I had this whole little motto: nobody can tell on you but yourself. So one day I was like, well, I wonder if I could do it with a note. So I did it and got away with it.
Did it with a what?
A note. I wrote on the note, give me this, this, this. You have 30 seconds. No weapon. And they would put it in the bag. And that's how it started.
Shut the fuck up. That's some ballsy ass shit, dude.
I mean, I wasn't in my mind.
Ballsy ass shit.
I was in my addiction. So
that's true.
I got locked back up. I got locked up on parole violation. I had forged multiple prescriptions, and I had got pulled over anyways. So they had made me go to a halfway house for a little bit. And while I was in that halfway house, I got high, like I fell out, they kicked me out. And so they violated me for that. And so when I went to, the hearing, the people that ran the abode in White Settlement had lied on their paperwork. And what they had said, they were really trying to suit. They couldn't prove exactly what I did, because it was another client, not inmate, but client that was told them what had happened. So they went off what he said. So they threw that out. They ran it like parole hearings, it's like a court hearing. It kind of tripped me out how intense the lady running it was, but that's the way they did it. And so I thought I was scot-free until then. She's like, well, you have 9 different prescriptions, which they were all fake, but they didn't know that. You have 9 different prescriptions for
what?
For anywhere from different milligrams of alprazolam to hydrocodone to morphine.
Dude, we're gonna have to pause for the cause real quick, because I gotta go check my Wi-Fi. I think the cat might have messed it up. It keeps going in and out. So hold on.
Okay. Let's get it. Good to go?
Go ahead, man.
Yeah, so, they sent me to Safe Pete for it ended up being about a year from the time in county to getting to Safe Pete to getting out, and then I had to do the aftercare, and I was good in the aftercare for about 90 days, and then started going to the bars again, and then that just led to taking some got a script and started taking some pills, and then, the pharmacy idea came back into play, so that's what I did, and, it was, Christmas Eve, 2017. I I got out in November. Christmas Eve, 2017, I robbed a pharmacy, and then January 17th, 2018 is when I robbed another pharmacy, and they were waiting for me when I came out. And so they threw me to the ground, quit resisting. I'm not resisting. It's like Frisco. I'm not on camera. I'm on the ground. They peeled like scabs on the face. My ear was all messed up. But I mean, it is what it is. When you do the crime, you do the time. So I dealt with all that. And then that's when I got into this incarceration and had to hire this new attorney, which brings me back to the seed when he's sitting here and he's telling me to tell him about my life. Well, the little synapse of what I've said, he stopped me at the age of 16. I went into a little bit more detail and he said, "Son, you need to write a book." And so, long story short, he got it down to 10 years. And so I went to prison and it was about a year and a half. It was December 17th, 2015. I mean, yeah, 2015 at this point. And he his it's 11 o'clock at night. I got my little lamp on. I'd made it to a trustee camp at this point. I'm reading Clive. No. I had been reading Clive Cluster, but somebody passed me a book earlier in the day by this dude called Tucker Max. So Tucker Max was he's from a well-to-do family. He went to law school and he had money and stuff. And him and his buddies just went and did crazy stuff. And he figured out how to write about it. And it was hilarious.
What was the book called?
You had, I Hope They Say Beer in Hell was the first one. The second one was Sloppy Seconds. And then the third one was like Assholes Finish First. So he did four of them, and then he did one with a psychiatrist. Like, so he made some money. Like, I don't know if he ever finished law school, but so I was reading this book, and it's the first time in my life I read something that made me laugh out loud. And I'm sitting there thinking about what that lawyer told me, and it's nighttime, and I have this habit of having some paper, and I write notes all the time, and then I transfer my journals and I organize it, just stuff to learn, whatever, quotes.
Yeah.
And it wasn't too much into business and marketing at this point. It was more just like I didn't even know what I was doing. I was just trying to figure it out. So 3 days later, I had 112 stories of my life that ranged from 14 to 28. I had no clue what I was doing. None. I
Yeah.
just knew I'm going to get rich. I'm going to get rich. This dude was a playwright. He kind of gave me some pointers. And then my other buddy, he was a ex-army guy. He was an English major, so he kind of gave me some pointers. My mother had a master's. She used to be a principal. So the English, the vocabulary, but I'd never written.
Yep.
So I was like, what do I do now? So I had all these little notes, and I was like, well, I'll just put them each year on a page. I didn't know this is how you normally do it. I just figured it made sense. So I put 14 on one page, 15 on another, 16. I put them all in order, and I just started writing. So 2 years later, by the time I got out, I had self-taught myself how to write short stories. I had 112 of them, and got out.
They were all about your life?
True stories. Creative nonfiction. So Tucker Max created a genre called fratire. It's satire. Creative nonfiction, slightly embellished to make it more funny. Well, I'm sitting there thinking fratire is the frat life and satire. And I'm like, well, my stories are a little bit more gangster.
Yeah.
So I'm like, gattire. So it doesn't exist.
Gangsters.
I call it
Right.
short stories are published. And at this point, they're so messed up. I'm not sure if I'm ever going to publish those. They're just so messed up. I think that was the building blocks which led me to what's to come, which I'll get to in just a second. So I get out, and within about 30 days, I get a message. I'd waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm helping run my buddy's flood restoration company. I'm working. I'm running online poker. So I'm within a matter of months, like I'm doing all right. And the army vet that was locked up with me, he called me at like 1 in the morning, and he was drunk and it was gibberish. And I was like, what the heck? And then like 5 minutes later, I get another message from somebody even more drunk and gibberish. And I didn't know what it was. Well, I wake up at 4 a.m. So I call my buddy. He doesn't answer. So I call the next number. It's like, I've had like one cup of coffee. It's like 4:20 something. And he says, who in the hell is calling me at 4 something in the morning? I said, who the hell called me at 1 something in the morning? He's like, oh, is this Rob? And I was like, who the hell is this? I hadn't really been talking to that many people. And he's like, oh, well, Wes was telling me about you. I was like, oh, okay. He's like, well, I'm a producer. And I'm like, okay, well, what's that got to do with me? Like, I got short stories. He's like, yeah, but he told me that you wrote them in screenplay fashion. Because my dialogue is separate. Tucker Max, I unknowingly taught myself how to kind of write in screenplay format. Not identically, but extremely similar, because the dialogue's separate than the stories. He said, but the way that he explained it to me, they could very easily be turned into something. And he told me your story. He told me you got some crazy stuff to talk about, and I'd be interested. He's interested in talking to me. And we're so fast forward like 5-6 weeks. We got a date. He's going to bring a camera crew. We're going to go to this location and get something to eat. Then we're going to go to this location. We're going to do all this. And he's going to edit 4 or 5 hours worth of material down to about 10 minutes and submit it. You know, he's a smaller production company, submit it to larger production companies. So I didn't know anything about marketing. I didn't know anything about the industry. I didn't know how much of a percentage. I didn't know none of this stuff. Well, he's taken advice from me, which is, he asked me a couple of times. I was like, why are you asking me what I think about this and about that? He's like, dude, he's like, you've lived through some stuff, bro. He's like, you shouldn't be. I was like, yeah, but everybody's got a story. He's like, yeah, dude, but the fact that you lived through it and you were able to write it down and now you're going to be able to show people, he said, that's not normal. He's like, this is like a story of redemption.
That's true.
And so he called, I hadn't heard from him in 3 or 4 days. We talked every morning for like 10, 15 minutes. And then I call him. I'm like, hey, what's going on? He said, well, my girlfriend's cancer came out of remission. So I've been at the hospital and da da da. And I was like, hey, enough said. Do what you got to do. Give me a call when things are better, man. I hope y'all are good. If there's anything can do it, I can't do nothing for him. But if there's anything I can do, let me know. So I took all my stories, and instead of transcribing them every morning before I go to work, I put them in a box. And it was about, I was only out for 4 months. So I just did 5, and then I got out, and that happened. And then I went and I robbed a pharmacy in Gainesville, Texas. And I didn't know, off of 35, Gainesville keeps about 20 something cop cars at all times, because that's the main corridor the traffickers used to go back and forth from up north and through Oklahoma. And so they were there in the parking lot waiting for me. I had a push button car. There was like an RFID jammer. I couldn't even start my vehicle. First they had the gun, and
Damn.
I started running. What's that?
I just said, damn.
Yeah. So then I threw everything at the cop, and I tried to get to my car, and I'm trying to start. It didn't start. She puts the gun up because sees I don't have a weapon, and she pulls the taser out, and she's about to bust the window. And I'm just like, it's over with. I was already going to prison for the rest of my life. Before I got lucky, I was like, my life's over with. So I get locked up, and it's 25 life for the second time. And I'm seeing in Gainesville, I'm seeing people that are from Gainesville with not half the charges that I have on my record get 30 on top of 30. It's 200 tiny man county jail, Cook County.
Yeah.
And I had I don't want to say I temporarily lost sanity, but I just gave up. And I talked to a pen pal. I was on Write a Prisoner, and I had a little piece of paper with people's numbers on it. Well, I called this long distance number overseas, and it went through like on the county phone. And I was like, oh, that's nuts. So she answered and she, how are you? What are you doing? Why are you in jail? I don't sound like her, but whatever. That's the best I got. So I tell her the whole deal, and the phone calls are like $30 a pop. So we don't make that many of them, but it was like the second or third one. And she's like, well, why don't you use the time like you did last time and write? I was like, I'm done writing. I wrote about everything that I knew. And she's like, why don't you try fiction? I said, I can't write fiction. She's like, well, have you tried? And I'm like, no. So, well, a couple days later, I'm
Who
sitting
was
there.
she?
Cassie Chapman. She's from
I've heard that name.
Norfolk, England. She was just somebody on Writer Prisoners. Well, she became a very, very close friend, and she wrote me regularly. It was one
Oh,
of my only like I got no visits, I got no letters. So Writer Prisoner was my only, besides calling my mother when she was still alive, like that was my only, you know, out
lit.
in the free world.
Yeah.
And so she gave me that little inspiration. So a couple days later, I'm spitballing and I have all my notes and it looks like I'm autistic, whatever. And I figure out how to put this stuff in line and order. And I devised to put 1 through 15 on the front and 1 or 16 through 30 on the back, and just put ideas and put bullets. And then I'd transfer that and I'd turn that into 5 pages. And then I would write whatever was on there, ideas, and I would turn that into stories. And so it started out with Raw Powder. Raw Powder is about a small time nickel and diner from the North Dallas suburbs who befriends a mob boss after saving him in jail from getting jumped by 4 gang members. He did not know he was a mob boss. Well, they end up in the same tank. And through befriending this guy, he got connected and his charge disappeared. They let him out. And he had a goal, and his goal was to procure a raw powder connection in China and make his own steroids and press his own pills. And he had his couple of friends who, at this point in time, I had read something that said base characters off real people. So Charlie Boy was somebody I was locked up with. I based a character off him. Meredith Christian were 2 of my childhood friends. I combined them to create a character. And this is all just like nobody's directing, no classes. I'm just going in, and it's nonstop. It's every lockdown, every Saturday, every Sunday.
Nothing but time. You know what I mean? Might as well make some use of it.
Absolutely. And it was like an invisible hand was guiding me.
Yeah.
I did not know what I was doing, and I was just figuring it out. So a year later, I finally finished Raw Powder. It's 420 pages. And then book 2, God's Breath, which Dino's into nootropics. So it's his whole experience where he ends up creating a new drug. And I never wrote book 3. I have ideas for book 3. It goes from like pharmacopoeia crime to sci-fi full on. Like it's the whole time he was the chosen one from a
Love
parallel
that.
dimension because he had the aptitude to do the right thing, even though he would take all these risks. Like he took these risks and he did crime, but he kind of did the right thing a lot of the time too by helping people. So that
Robin Hood.
kind of,
Robin
so
Hood character.
it was, this is at this point in time, I had hit Beto. I was a trustee. I was on Beto trustee camp, and there was this artist guy across from me, and he was, he found out I wrote and stuff, and he gave me this little idea. He's like, well, the Earth's iron core and these harmonics, and he's like, maybe you should make like a sci-fi and figure out. And I'm just sitting there thinking. I went and checked out some books from the prison library, and no, this wasn't Beto. This was Pack 2. This was Pack 2. This is when I went and got the cure for hepatitis C. And so he gave me this little idea, and I stewed on it for about a week, and then I came up with a name. It's called Mark of the Bloodline. And I wrote my first screenplay. I tore pages. Entertainment Weekly has one example page of a screenplay in their magazines. I tore 7 pages out of 7 different issues, and I put them on the bunk. And I was like, this is how a screenplay looks. Let's figure it out. So I wrote my first screenplay. And I didn't understand the concept of plot point one, and plot point 2. That came later on. But if you ever watch a movie 25 minutes in, exactly something happens. It's Hollywood formula. It happens 25 minutes in. That's plot point 1. That's the catalyst for the middle of the story. Plot point 2 happens the last 30 to 45 minutes, which is where everything gets crazy and the day gets saved, or they get away with the robbery, or they just whatever. That happens the last 30, 45 minutes. So, Mark the Bloodline, sci-fi action adventure, ancient alien technology that was used to build the Mayan temples, the Stonehenge, Egypt, utilized Earth's natural harmonics with this alien crystal kind of tuning fork thing and a copper umbrella. And they learned where the Earth's natural iron core was, and they would place these monoliths on the iron core. And they would hit this alien technology tuning fork with this copper umbrella on the other side, and the harmonics would lift those monoliths off the ground. And that's how they built everything. Completely freestyled of it. Just
That's lit.
took some stuff out of some books, made it my own. It's called Mark the Bloodline. That's my first screenplay. And so that one happened. And then at that point, when I said I was going to write screenplays, I had this little thing. It was reaching Christmas in 2021. It was reaching Christmas. It was cold outside, and I had a couple of buddies that I'd spitball ideas with. I had just seen, like, you got this kind of nerdy guy that's good with computers. Then you got this dude over here that's kind of hood and he's grilled out. He's got gold teeth. Then you got this guy over here who's like a skitzer, but completely different life experiences, but each perspective is different. So I'd be like, hey, do y'all want to help me give me some insight? And so they would come and I'd talk about it, and then they'd be like, oh, what about this? What about this? What about this? So I'm utilizing the only thing I have,
Right.
other people's kind of creativity, and I'm making notes. And that's how I finished Mark the Bloodline. But then it was right before Christmas. It was 3 or 4 days before Christmas. Around my birthday is December 21st. It was around my birthday. And I said, hey, do y'all want to write a Gen Z Christmas movie? Like the most messed up Christmas movie that's ever existed? And they're like, hell yeah. So I would get them dip and coffee. And they're not supposed to have dip. It's contraband, but I give them dip and coffee. And that's where Bad Saturdays came from. The movie's called Bad Christmas, and it's basically this guy, he finds out Santa Claus isn't real at the age of 5 because he peeks in the window, and the mall Santa Claus that told him earlier that afternoon that he was going to get this brand new bike is having sex with his mom. So he's like, Santa's not even real. What he realizes is he never has a good Christmas. He's in foster homes. He just has a messed up childhood. And at the age of 18, he was kind of doing identity theft, and he was good with computers, but he was smart enough to see what was about to happen. So he kind of stepped away. And then that's when his buddy Ted, his high school buddy who cuts hair, ran into one of his old foster brothers, and they realized they knew the same person. He's living with him. He's like, oh, well, let's go surprise him. This dude's name is Gak. Why is Gak? I was thinking Zach Galifianakis when I wrote the character, based character on real life, and his name is Gak. So Gak shows up, and he's got this good strain of weed, and they're reuniting. And then Gak finds out they were foster brothers. He finds out Lucky, that's his kid's name, Lucky. He had never had a good Christmas. And so he's like, we're going to throw a Halloween Christmas party, and it's going to be the biggest party everybody's going to ever seen. And you're going to have a good Christmas. So it just snowballs into more the crazy stuff. It's like a combination of Project X and what's the name of the movie with Seth?
Pineapple Express.
Not Pineapple Express.
Oh, the other one where they're at the frat party.
They're the kids and they steal the beer, and
yeah.
Yeah, I forget the name of it. It's escaping me, right? But it's a cross between Project X and that. And so that's where that idea came from. And then came Bad Valentine, which is part 2, where some porn awards in America or in California happen, and they get an invitation and they go over there, and it's just another crazy adventure. And then came Stoned Ape Theory, which is based on the concept of 50,000 years ago, apes discovered mushrooms, and that's what jump-started human evolution. And so it's a coming-of-age tale that starts in the woods. These kids are camping, and the guy and the girl, just like in movies all the time, they go out into the woods to make out. And this girl steps on something, oh my God, and it's glowing. Well, these mushrooms have been going through ice ages And so they freeze, and then, it's the last ice age, and they finally come back. Well, they had stumbled upon the last remaining patch of these mushrooms called mancubans. And it's a blend of psilocybin and Mario mushrooms that happen because of the saliva of the leafcutter ant. And it's just like, I just check books out and research stuff, and I just create it. It's not real, whatever. That's how you create. You just make stuff up. So they stumbled all these mancubans. Oh, they're glowing mushrooms. And they take them. When they take them, they all have the same vision. The exact same vision. And they had tripped before, and they knew that's not normal. So they wanted to find out what these mushrooms were. So they go look at they find a shaman, and this shaman, after he hears what they say, he freaks out, and he goes and busts out this like old, he's like, hey man, how y'all doing? He goes out and busts this old book, and it's dusty, and he flips it over, and turns out it's been handed down in his family. And it describes the Mancuban and how it can transport you back in time to where evolution originated. So they go on this journey traveling the fictitious passage of Leary, Timothy Leary, which forms a L, and it starts in Oregon, goes through NorCal, SoCal, and research was involved in finding where to end it, because we had to have some type of psychedelic adventure along the way. So each stop, it ends in New Mexico. But each stop, like first they meet up with some ravers. Then they meet up with a hippie commune, and they're on this mission to meet up with this Indian native, the chief, whatever, the shaman of that tribe, because he's the one that's going to have the answers that they're seeking. And so it's just an adventure all the way, and it's a psychedelic, it's a stoned ape theory, and it's awesome.
Yeah, it sounds so fucking cool. I would definitely watch that or read that.
There's Lucky. He's a gambler who loses everything and gets a chance to get back at the guy that really scammed him for everything, even though he was a gambler. And then so that's Mark the Bloodline, Bad Christmas, Bad Valentine, Stoned Ape Theory, Lucky, and then you have Bad Boy Gone Good, which is my true life story. And it starts, just like I said, at the age of 14. That's when it starts. And it's based on true events, but there are some things, that I threw in there just to kind of spice it up a little bit. Not sure if it needed it, but that's just what happened. And so it was at this point in time, when was this? 2022. I had made it, we're on lockdown. I caught chain to Beto. I got a hardship. My mother's health is deteriorating, and I was trying to get close to her, and they shipped me 300 something miles. Like, I was closer where I was before they gave me the hardship. Whatever. So that's just how it works. So I get there, and we're on lockdown, and I'm the only person with coffee, and I have all my paperwork out. I'm not talking to anybody. Lockdown. Like, I write on the weekends. I write on lockdowns. I have to take advantage of this time because I'm being driven. I'm being pushed. I know I'm not going to have this time when I get out. So I have to do everything I can. I sacrifice everything to have this time. Don't talk to me. I'm not an asshole. It's just you don't understand what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And that's cool.
Yeah.
Leave me alone. Come holler at me at 12. I cut hair. I do art. I make cakes. I hustle to survive. So I'm writing all this stuff. And about 2 weeks after being on Beto, this guy walks up and he's like, what are you writing over here? And I was like, I'm writing a screenplay. And he's like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah. So I tell him a synapse of everything I had written at that point. And he's like, hold on, dude, I want you to talk to my mom. I don't even know this guy, right? So we had we had the tablets at this point. So he goes and gets his tablet, and he gets his mom on the phone. He's like, Mom, this is what we've been looking for. You need to talk to this guy. So I gives his tablet and get the earbud, and I started talking to his mom. He tells me you're a writer and da 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 da. I was like, yeah, that's cool. Nice to meet you. And she's like, well, I'm a producer in Colorado. I'm like, oh, her name's Audra Kelly. And she was in some movies in the 90s, and she had some kids.
What's her name again?
Audra Kelly.
Audra Kelly.
And she was in She was in some, but she got out of the industry because she wanted to focus on the kids. She wanted to raise her kids. She did all that. Well, once they got older, she got back in, and she has other things under production. Well, I had already devised a nonprofit. I had outlined it, the criteria, how it was going to help underprivileged writers and artists. Like, this is just from getting books sent in, maybe, or checking a book out the library, something that's 20 years old, and just reading. I never read a whole bill. Whole books that I read that had to do with marketing or any of that stuff was copyright books. Yeah, I read 2 whole copyright books because I didn't want anybody to be able to steal my ideas. She had learned, like I had been listening to marketing podcasts, listening to finance podcasts, listening to business podcasts in prison, nonstop. Every morning I wake up early. If I'm not writing, I'm learning.
Yeah.
I did HVAC. So it's really hard when they find out you're EPA universally certified to not be forced to do HVAC. So I could never get in the craft shop. I'm an artist too, paint, tattoo, watercolor with a toothpick and a freaking fence brush with hair with string tied around it. I'm a pretty decent artist. Anyway, so she starts mentoring me and I start talking to her, and I sent her Mark of the Bloodline. And this was about like 6 weeks in. I sent it to her. And then my next phone call, she's like, "How did you write that?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" Like, I wrote it and then I rewrote it like 3 or 4 times because I learned that rewriting is the key to writing. And she's like, "No," she's like, "I don't think you understand the way that you wrote this. You wrote this like a director edits a screenplay." And I'm like, "Really?" And she's like, "Yeah, you've never read it." So I was like, "No, I just wrote it." And I got the camera angles, I got the wardrobe, I got the soundtrack, I got everything in this. And I didn't know. Like, I knew Tucker Max was kind of screenplayish, and I knew my novels. The novels were a little bit hard for me to write because I was familiar with that kind of separating the dialogue from the words. It's just comfortable for me. And then she's like, "Well, you're gonna have to change this if you want to sell it. You have to take out the music, the wardrobe, the camera angles, because the director's gonna put their own spin on it." I was like, "Okay." So she told me to do that. So I started process of doing that while I was still trying to write this screenplay and rewrite this one. And I tried that
Was this handwritten or with the typewriter?
at this point, I'd handwrite everything. And then the 4th draft after rewriting it, I would type it. But I only have 2 full manuscripts typed right now. I have Mark the Bloodline and Bad Christmas fully typed. But I mean, I got to type at certain times because I don't want the typewriter to be loud. And I mean, it's sweaty, it's hot, it's summertime, there's flies, and it's just miserable.
Yeah.
But I just got this hand pushing me. Just do it.
Yeah, just do it.
And she became a close friend. And by the time when I got out, right before I got out, I started listening to this thing called Fearless Motivation. And she offered me position to be first assistant director on my own screenplay to get a feel for stuff in the industry. She saw the potential where she believed in me. And I had started on that camp. They already had like a little bit of a writers group they were trying to do, but I had like, I don't, everybody knows, but they wanted to write, but they just didn't have as much experience as I did at this point. And I never went to school for it, but I'd written so much, like I could help these guys and give them some insight. And a lot of their stuff sucked, but so did mine when I first started. I thought it was great, but I had to keep it real with them. Like, "Hey, this is great, but you're going to have to rewrite this 3 or 4 more. What do you mean?"
Yeah.
They didn't understand. They were in the beginning of their journey, and that's all cool. I tried to help them to a certain extent. And I felt like we started doing it every week, but if you don't focus, excuse me, if you don't learn proper grammar, proper punctuation, and you just try and write, nobody's ever going to read that.
Yeah.
You want to give something that's polished, that's done, so because nobody's going to take the time. I mean, you might have somebody that's going to take the time to redo this gibberish you got, but you're not going to get anything for it because they're going to take advantage of the situation. "Oh, he has a great idea. Let me redo it, and I'll give him $5,000. Like, I had one offer. I'd got an agent when I was locked up, and to push my sci-fi novel, Lysander 691. Oh, I forgot that one. So he's based on the 691st descendant of the original Traveler of Time. He's like 100,000 years in the future. And his purpose is to go back in time to make sure that things stay how they're supposed to be. and don't get off skewed. And somebody ends up finding his device and uses it, and it messes stuff up, and he has to go fix everything. It's pretty cool. So I had sent Lysander 691 to that agent, and he was in Florida, and I'd never heard none of it. It was just somebody that would write prisoners. And so after about like 6 months, I write him a few times for like updates. You know what, dude, I don't want to do this no more. You suck. So he sent me a cancellation of contract or whatever. Cool with me. He wasn't a good agent anyways. He was a joke. So then I get out. Where was that? So I'm at the age. No, let me backtrack a little bit. So it was it's 2021 when I left Ferguson unit and I went to Goree trustee camp. I got that job traveling TCI. I had been making hooch. I had been running the tattoo shop. I had been fixing electronics, bootlegging stuff. And I was still just, I mean, I was surviving, but as soon as I made it to this job where I started traveling the state, going into free world office government buildings, I was like, I'm done. And that's when I first decided, like, I'm done. And then it was probably a year or two after that, it was like, I think I just need to cut everybody off. And that was just an idea. I was like, can I really do that though? Because I've always been back to the same thing. But I see when I made parole on Win Trustee Camp, I was in CDL school, and I saw a commonality. The guys that would come back in that had completed CDL school, they all said they had cut everyone off. Or when they saw old people, hey, how you doing? And they would act weird, but they knew that what they needed to do in order to not go back to prison, and that was just not talk to them.
Yeah.
Work, go home, have a life, be with the family. So I was like, that's what I'm going to do. I was listening to that Fearless Motivation, and I heard this one take 1 year off. And it's just focus on yourself, and when you come back, you'll be unrecognizable.
Yeah.
And I really ingested that motivational stuff my last like 9 months to a year before I got out. And so I just made my mind up. It's what I'm doing.
Yeah, I remember there was this one video with Jordan Peterson, and I would always listen to it. Would be like clips they put together to make like a motivational video of shit that he said, you know? And like one thing it just ring in my head all the time was like, if you really want something, you can have it. If you really want it, you can have it. But you have to, you know, do what it takes to get it. You know what I mean? That has to be what you want more than anything else. Like as much as you want to breathe, you want that.
It's so my two favorite words are proactive and manifestation. And like my vocabulary got better from writing because I'm using a paper dictionary and a paper thesaurus. And then I learn all these different synonyms and acronyms, whatever. So proactive. I embraced that word because that had been exactly what I was doing because I knew I wasn't going to have enough time. But the manifestation came about 6 months before I got out. I'm like, I'm looking at it like everyone's got all their food stacked in their locker and da da da. My 80% of my locker was paperwork. So
Yeah.
I had food confiscated a few times because it was under my bunk and I didn't get it back. But I could get the food back. I could sell cake. I could cut hair. I could get the food back. But I couldn't have that paperwork underneath my bunk because if they took that, I mean, that was my manifestation.
Yeah.
That was my future. So I got out. They sent me to Clover House in Odessa. And I went to Safe Peak Kyle unit. I got out of that and went to Clover House in Odessa. And that place should be shut down. It is illegal. They water down the food. I probably shouldn't be talking about them. That'll probably be like probably shouldn't be saying that. But anyways, Clover House was not a good place.
Okay.
I was being so proactive with stuff, and I got there and I started calling on the phone to get a job, and I had a job on the second day paying $22 an hour. This dude needed somebody to do flooring. I said, I've never done flooring, but I can do all sorts of other stuff. Just tell me what to do and I got it. And he's like, all right, you're hired. I need you to start tomorrow. Well, at Clover House, you have to put in a slip and you can start 2 weeks later. So I immediately got into it with the lady that runs the place because I lost my first job because of their rules. Like
Yeah.
you're supposed to be there to help people. You got this 2-way lay period where you can't do anything. And I get a whole bunch of people ain't doing the right thing, but it just messes it up for the people that are trying to do the right thing. And so I ended up getting a job working at Sonic for $8.50 an hour. Uh, that was an eye-opening experience. I was humbled. I'm a hard worker with whatever I do, though. Whatever I do, I'm gonna do the most, and I worked for that 8.50 an hour,
What's your
and
zodiac sign?
what's that?
What's your zodiac sign?
Sagittarius.
Okay.
Super chill.
Yeah. They are chill.
So I did the Sonic while I was in the halfway house, and then right before I got out, a buddy that was in there had been working for this place called High Tech Contracting, which it was just like a single guy needed like a helper type situation, and I had experience with HVAC, electrical, and some other stuff. So he's like, "Yeah, if it's $500 a week." He was taking advantage of the halfway house too, because that type of job pays minimum of like $1,000 a week, 1,200 doing stuff like that. But
Getting that
whatever.
labor.
So then I got out of the halfway house and I went to this 80-man transitional center in Odessa. And everyone's fresh out of prison. You rent a room. And I was like, I'm cutting everybody off. So let me just get a fresh start out here. Never done it before. I always come back to Dallas. And it was just to backtrack a couple months, 2 months before I got out, my mother passed away. So I hadn't seen her my entire career. Like I saw her on video once or twice, but
Yeah.
she was hunched over, she had broke her back, she was in bad health, congestive heart failure. So it happened.
So your mother and your father are dead.
I don't have any parents, I don't have any grandparents. So I have my sister, she works at the hospital, and like we had no contact my entire incarceration. But when my mother passed away, her and my brother flew in from Cali. I don't really even know him. Like he's my brother, but I've seen him
Y'all
3
didn't grow
times
up
since I
together?
was a kid. So
Did you have different parents?
he's half brother.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they flew down to see me and Kyle right before I got out. And they were, "We're here for you," all that. So my sister, I like to do everything myself. But if the help that I did need when she's helped me. Uh, but I've been out for a little over a year now. And I went from the 80-man transitional center. My buddy Matt Ayers started Kingdom First General Contractors. Matt's got a little bit of a background too, but he has a business acumen, great dude.
Kingdom First Contractor?
Kingdom First General Contractors.
Kingdom First General Contractors.
Yeah, it's based in Fort Worth. We're about to get the office in Euless, but I drive 3, 4, 5 hours a day. And when I started, like I had the experience from fixing so much stuff, but it's an extreme learning curve. But at this point, he fully trusts me. I can go somewhere and give an estimate on the spot, and whatever price I give, he's cool with. Another self-taught, like in the process, we're all OJT in it.
Yeah.
But he has a background, his family, 20 something years in construction and commercial building and stuff like that. So he kind of had the little gist of it already. But my angle from knowing how to fix stuff allows me to go into a home and go do estimates on stuff that other people might not understand. Some of the younger sales guys.
Yeah.
But I got that while I was in Odessa. I went from high tech contracting to working for this apartment complex. These property owners in Cali that own the Permian Oasis Transitional Center own a bunch of property in Odessa. And so I got a job doing make-ready apartments, fixing stuff at these commercial buildings. And I did that. That was $18 an hour. Plus I worked 12 hours on the weekends. Plus I cut hair every night when I got back. Just anything I'm not writing. I'm just like, I told myself 1 year, grind nonstop.
Yeah.
Greatness resides in nonstop determination, grind. And it's a mentality. Like one of my favorite things to say is, a lot of people like to talk the talk. Well, people talk the talk, they don't get nothing done. It's the
Yeah.
ones that walk it.
It's all about action,
And
baby.
you just got to figure it out.
Figure
If you
it
don't
out.
know it, you got to figure it out. And that's just what it is. So I picked up that lace paycheck and I drove to Dallas. I got into an Oxford house, a little sticky situation. I realized some stuff was going on and I've exited all that out of my life. So I just packed my car up and I rented a room at this other place. I'm in the process of getting my own place right now, but I don't want to rush. I want to make sure whatever I get is something that I'm going to be able to have for a while.
Have you had your own place before?
In the past.
Yeah.
But not like this point. It was the halfway house, transitional center, Oxford house, and then renting this room
Yeah.
in
This is
Pleasantville.
all within a year.
This is, yeah, within about 12 and a half
So you're at
months.
your year mark right now.
Yeah.
And you said, I got 1 year, I'm gonna fucking grind.
Yeah. And then, so I did all this studying on marketing, all this studying on financial stuff. And I told myself 1 year after I get out, I'm going to start the process, which I work so much. It's really, really hard. So I know it's going to be a little bit longer before I'll be able to fully focus on the writing and everything like that. But, I mean, it's just like, right, you got to pay bills, you got to live.
Yeah.
And the life of an artist, of a creative, they all have to work and they all have to do stuff out, and that's until they make it. But then once they make it, so your first screenplay, you might only get 50 grand for, but then once you have sold a screenplay and you become a member of the Writers Guild, which you pay like $1,000, $2,000 to become, because you wrote a fully written self-authored screenplay. Now the minimum that you can get for a screenplay is 220 grand and a percentage of the back end of the profit. And so it just elevates you a little bit more. But then, like, say you got 6 screenplays in the chamber ready to go, and
Yeah.
supposedly they're all pretty good. It's not a matter of if, it's when. It's just, once I'm able to sit down and focus on that, because it takes 30 to 45 minutes just to get warmed up, just for the synapses, the juices just to go. And then I still don't understand to this day how I created everything I created. I do not understand. I look at it and I'm just like,
Fucking
like I
right, dude.
wasn't there when I was, and I just look at it, the finished products, and it's just mind blowing.
Yeah.
But I used to be real selfish for the wrong reasons, probably borderline narcissistic. But during the transformation from the initial seed being planted to writing all those stories, to reflecting on my past, to deciding to cut everybody off, to where I'm at now, it's been a journey. And I have a saying now, it's, I do 2 things every day. I learn something and I help someone every single day. It might be the smallest thing. If I haven't helped somebody yet and I see a homeless person or something like that, might give them a few dollars, but if I go in a store, I'll just grab something real quick to eat for them, or some bag of chips, just something simple, so I don't contribute to what possibly could be an addiction or whatever. But that's just
Yeah,
how.
there's a lot of homelessness in Dallas. And you know what I noticed is a lot of them. I can't even tell these days. I'm like, is that drugs or is that mental illness? Sometimes it's hard to tell.
I mean, you don't know.
Or sometimes maybe it's mental
It
illness
could be
created
and
from
then
the
some
drugs.
people, they're just, you're raised in a certain environment, and how you're raised just develops. I mean, some people get the chance to change, get the chance to learn. And if it wasn't for all that time in prison, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now. And I'm not where I want to be, but we are on our way.
Right? Okay, I can thank you. That first of all, I just want to let you know you're very inspiring. I haven't really written since I was in prison. It's like now, like hearing all this, I'm like, I want to fucking sit down and write some shit, you know? Not even just like, you know, to get any monetary gain from it, but like just to develop myself better and like understand what's going on inside me and like see how I can, you know, transmute that and like play it out in the world. You know what I mean? And I could totally relate to when you're saying like if it wasn't for prison, I wouldn't have any of this. Cause I've always said before I went to prison, I maybe read 3 books in my life. And I probably didn't read them to completion, and they were forced upon me like, for school. You know what I mean? I didn't pick up my first book until I was in the dog pound, and I was at the point of desperation where I'm like, I need some type of escape, you know? And I just got given the most insane book you could ever give someone who's never fucking read any books. And that was The Synthesis of Science, Religion, and Philosophy by H.P. Blavatsky.
You went deep on that one.
Took me into the rabbit hole, dude. You know what I mean? And like, and then I just loved reading. There's this other dude who did science fiction. His name was, I think it was something Scott Gard. They made a movie about one of his books, but it was like philosophy, religion, political science, like all of this stuff mixed into this fucking insane.
I can't focus on stuff like that.
Dude, me neither.
Fiction.
Look, I typically only read like, I'm a very selective reader, but this one, it's kind of like the book I got in my intro to philosophy class. It's called Sophia's World. And it's basically all of Western philosophy from where it started to where it is now, but it's in a story. And so it's like it reads like a story, but you're gaining all this knowledge. And it's like I just received it better, you know? And it's like I kind of like envision it.
That's that manifestation.
And I have this thing, and one thing I want to gain from this podcast is like learning how to speak better, like how to express myself better. Because I noticed that for me, I express myself a lot in pictures. Like my husband will be like, I have to decipher what the fuck's going on with you because like I don't know how to express it, but I'll like send him like 5 different pictures, like a meme and a video. And I'm like, okay, now you
Are
should
you
know
more
what's
of an
going on with
emotional
me.
person than a thinker?
No, I don't know. You know, I
You're
don't think,
creative. I see the setup. You
yeah.
got a
It's like, oh, I
creative
just get
mind.
sparked with, like, divine intervention. It was the whole, like, thing with this, and that's how I know, like, when you said there was just something guiding me, like, one day it just poop, popped in my head and was like, "Oh, yeah, I wanna start a podcast, but I also wanna have a tattoo studio." And I sent a text, and I was like, "That's what I'm gonna do." And from that moment, I've just been and, like, that's all I've wanted to do. Like, I'm, like, so passionate about I think about
Focus.
it all the time,
Focus.
you know? And I'm like, I then someone messaged me on TikTok and was like, "Would you like to be on my podcast?" And I was like, "Fucking right. Yeah." You know? And then I went on his podcast and I was like, "Okay, this looks like doable," you know? And then he like helped me and gave me some information and I used that information. And then, you know, I'm here where I'm at right now. And I know like a lot of people have come to me and they're like, "Oh, you're starting a podcast. Like, I really want to do that." And I'm like, I don't really know a lot. You know, I'm just kind of learning.
Freestyle.
But I mean, I'll tell you whatever I know, you know? And I mean, it's, you know, a few $1,000 investment, get started, and that's it, really. And some, you know, some
See,
cool people.
that's what it takes though. It take you with they say with great risk comes great reward, but like in history, the greatest stories of redemption just blow me away. Just how people who maybe were in the hood or lived very, very just had a messed up, traumatized, but everything that they went through, and then just something happened, a
Yeah,
catalyst, a seed got planted,
something
and they
happened.
just built an empire. They saw it. Nobody else saw them. They call them crazy. They were criticized, doubted, but
Yeah.
you know, and if you know, I mean, once you start putting in the work, it's not if, it's when.
Yeah, they say it's only delusional until it happens.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I'm like, and I like it when people are like, "You're crazy." I'm like, "Good, good." I want you to look at me and be like, "That chick's crazy."
If
Like,
you
I
want
can't
to,
believe she
if you want
thinks that.
to call me crazy, and I said, well, say, I used to tell, I had this little saying, I would tell people in 10 years, hit me up and I'll buy you a Cadillac. That was just
Whoop
something,
is a whoop
something
is a
else in the tattoo studio. I mean, you put in the work, you put in the time, you sacrifice, you stay consistent, you be proactive. Anything's possible.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of Rick Rubin?
Rick Rubin.
Dude, you gotta check him out. He's like the most creative person on the earth.
What
Yeah.
does he do?
My husband would be able to give you his whole fucking resume. But, he's like produced music and stuff. And he wrote a book about basically the creative way of being. And really, it's just like,
People with like high functioning brains, super creative. And a lot of them, if they try opiates, they become addicted because it dampens the emotion, the thinking,
the
it slows
need to,
everything down so everything doesn't move so fast.
yeah.
And not saying I'm like suck at multitask. I think I suck at multitasking, but apparently,
Dude, I'll do everything fast. You know what I mean? Like yesterday, I woke up and I was like, I took my daughter to school. I went to the gym. I cleaned my entire house. You know what I mean? And I did this all like before noon, you know, but because I was like, I have to have this all done so that tomorrow, when it's my day off and I do this
you get
podcast,
to chill.
I could chill.
Yeah, there you go.
And I'm like, and like everyone's like my husband's like, how is this even possible that you've managed to like, you know what I mean? Like that's an insane amount of things you've
Just
gotten
get
done
it.
in a couple hours. I'm like, I'm on a mission.
Get it.
I'm on
Hell
a
yeah.
fucking mission. But yeah, dude. So it looks like we've got to the end of our time. But I really appreciate you coming. I'm very glad I got to know you somewhat, and I hopefully look forward to getting to know you more in the future.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.